CP Mopar Garage, we decided for this segment on YouTube to do a story of the car. Obviously, you know about a 1970 Roadrunner, but you don't really know the story. So Chris, why don't you get out of that car and tell us the story, bro? Come on now.
So this is where it all began. As you can see from our logo, as we talked about, 2003, was actually able to find this in a backyard. It's been a dream of mine for many years to find a 70 Roadrunner. And I was in high school, looked through the auto traders and magazines, trying to find a Roadrunner. And of course, I had no money, but I had a dream. And so for many years, tried to find a 70 Roadrunner. It was very difficult. And lo and behold, a buddy of mine was driving on the freeway and seen a glimpse of orange in Corona, California in a backyard. And when he drove by and he seen that glimpse of orange, he told me, he said, I think I seen a 70 Roadrunner, because I'd been telling him about it. And I said, there's gotta be no way you found a 70 Roadrunner. It was an area that I drove back and forth to work every day. So sure enough, we went down there, drove in the back, and found the 70 Roadrunner there. Knocked on the door, and a lady came out, and she said, I'm not interested in selling the car. And I said, well, if I offer you $10,000, would you sell the car to me? And it needed to be restored. It did run, but it needed to be restored. And the lady actually said, no, I'm not interested. So I actually left, went to the bank, and all I had at the time was $6,500. So I pulled the $6,500 out of the bank, and this is in 2003, went and knocked on the door and said, I have $6,500 cash, and I'd love to have this car. It's been a dream. Well, lo and behold, it was actually her father's car.
Oh.
And she sold me the car, believe it or not, for $6,500 cash. December 17th, 2003, and I know that so well because it's actually my business partner and good friend, mentor of mine, Nick. It was actually his daughter was born the same day.
Wow.
So believe it or not, his daughter was born that morning. I went and looked at the car, told him about it. He made sure his wife and baby were okay. Then he raced down to where I was. We grabbed an In-N-Out burger, and we bought the car. So
wow.
Just a super cool
Talk
story.
about a dream and a dream, right?
A dream and a dream.
Absolutely.
And then me actually introducing you to the car. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. So I went to elementary school with Chris's daughters. He got 3 daughters, and I was in the same grade as his middle daughter. And I remember being in there, and I was in school with them, and we were talking and having a great time. And I remember I always had some sort of car magazine with me, Motor Trend, you know, Mopar Max, whatever it may be. I always had some sort of car magazine with me. And I've always been somewhat of the black sheep of my family because I love Mopars. My dad's a Chevy guy. My uncle's a Chevy guy. My grandpa's a Ford guy. My brother was a JDM guy for a while. Now he's turned around. But I would always have a car magazine or some sort of car with me, and I always just loved them, and the Mopars in particular. And when I met your daughter, one day I had a magazine in my hand, and it had a 70 Roadrunner on it. It wasn't this one. That'd come later. But it was a 70 Roadrunner, and she goes, my dad has one of those. And essentially, 5th grade me said, that's BS, no way. Like, nobody's got one of these, no chance. And she goes, no, I promise you, it's green. Yeah. And I said, I don't believe you, I don't believe you. Well, one day you picked her up in this car just to prove to me that you guys had it. Yes. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. Fast forward, we were on a school trip in Chicago. We hadn't met yet. Fast forward, we're on a school trip in Chicago, and we're over there, and you were working on your computer, and there was a picture of this car restored. This was in 2010. Yes. This car fully restored. It had been restored for about 3 years at that point, I think. Fully restored, and I walked up, and I knew who you were, but you didn't know who I was. And I walked up, and I said, is that a 70 Roadrunner? And you said, how the hell did you know that?
How did you know? How did you know it was a 70 Roadrunner?
Yeah, I knew exactly what it was, and from then on, we became best friends.
Best friends.
That's right, bro. That's right. So tell me though, bro, why a 70 Roadrunner?
Yeah, 70 Roadrunner. So when I was a young man, a young kid, actually, I was 4 or 5 years old. My dad had a 70 Roadrunner. It was black. And I used to ride around in the center, and you'll notice the center console here actually is a fold-down seat. And I used to sit on his fold-down seat and ride around in the car with him. And I think it was just a passion of going, riding around with my dad in his car. Just gave me that passion of loving not only vehicles and a car enthusiast, but also loving that 70 Roadrunner. And so he had the 70 Roadrunner. Of course, a lot of our stories, right? We all sold our first Mopars. Actually, my first Mopar, we'll talk about some other time, which is a 73 Duster. Had it in high school. This is actually my second, but this was the dream, right? The 70 Roadrunner was a dream. And so the passion with my dad, made me want this car. So I finally got the car in 2003, and it did not look like this. It needed to be fully restored. It was actually orange. Oh. It was an automatic car. It was a 383 car. And myself, my grandpa, my father took the car apart, believe it or not, and I said, I'm going to restore a car. And I made myself a commitment. I said, I'm not going to be one of the ones that takes a car apart and never restores it. I'm going to make sure if I take on this car and I restore it, that I fully restore it. So we took it apart. I had it in my garage in pieces. And lo and behold, I said, I'm never going to put this thing back together. So I started buying parts, the steering wheel for it. I wanted bucket seats for it. I was looking at engines, and I started acquiring parts. And buying parts, I was finding that I was paying premium price for parts. I was finding them on eBay in different places. Roadrunners, Mopars especially, are hard to get parts for. Mm-hmm. And then I decided, you know what? I need to look at who I can take this car. Who's the Mopar expert that can help me restore this car? And it would be feasible maybe over a couple of years while they're restoring the car, I could come up with the money to pay for it.
Sure.
Because I was struggling putting it back together.
Well, yeah, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
And so who'd you take it to?
So I took it to Julius Restorations, and he actually became a great friend of mine. Story for another time, but he's restored many cars for me since then. And I took it to Julius Restoration literally in boxes. In my truck, in boxes and on a trailer. And I said, I don't know how this guy's going to put this stuff together, but I hear he's the Mopar guru. And lo and behold, in 2007, here's what we got. A beautiful 1970 Roadrunner. So just an iconic, beautiful car. And built the way I wanted. And some of those features, talk about some of those features that are on this thing.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a HEMI car now. Obviously not a 426 HEMI car originally, but this is actually a much different engine we'll talk about in a second. But, you know, you wanted it built just like you were saying, like when you when you were with your dad, you know, exactly. So the bench seat with the fold down armrest, you know, not the full solid bench. So the buckets with the center console armrest need to have that. Obviously the upgraded tick-tock tack, you know what I mean? Yes. So essentially, it sounds like you wanted every option that you could, you know, theoretically get on a Roadrunner, which was supposed to be a bare bones muscle car. Right. But you wanted it full blown.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
All the cool stuff on the car.
Well, you talk about cool. The coolest thing about this car, without a doubt, is the color.
Yes.
Why this crazy color?
Yeah, it was crazy. I really originally wanted it limelight green. I had seen in high school a limelight, couple cars drive by, and it was like, that's the coolest color. And so I wanted limelight green. They actually ended up painting it sassy grass green. Right. And I was like, oh no, they painted it the wrong color. When I went there, it was much darker. So I talked to the painter, then he shot limelight green over the top of it. And here we have a sassy grass / lime green car, limelight green car. But it actually is it came out to be a beautiful color. It's actually been highlighted in many magazines. And I wouldn't change it. It's, you know, I have a lot of original Mopars that now I'm kind of more of an original guy, but this being the first one, we wanted to do some special features on it. As you mentioned, we wanted to put a HEMI in it. Yeah. We have AC in this car. We put the bucket seats in the car. So we made this one a resto mod, but tried to make it as original as possible. So it looks original, besides the Hoosiers and black wheels. But it looks original for the most part. But but wanted to make it, I didn't know I was going to get into collecting Mopars, so that's a story for another day. Yeah. But this one, we wanted to say, let's put our special twist on it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so the special twist also comes with special motor and stuff like we were talking about. So it sounds like it was a late model, like 2007 block or something like that. And Bob Mazzolini, I think, was involved.
Bob Mazzolini, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, he actually referred me to Carlos with Submission Engines because Bob was too busy at the time. And Carlos built the engine. And I tell you, this thing is unbelievable. The power in it is unbelievable. It's got 747 horsepower. Just one of a kind. And we talk about 101. This is 101 for sure.
Absolutely 1 of 1.
Yes.
1 of 1. I mean, you deleted the stripe.
Deleted the stripe.
The dust trail stripe. We've kind of talked about that a little bit. I noticed there's a stripe on the back. You can see that on our Instagram. We talked about those a little bit more in detail.
No vinyl top.
No vinyl top. Was it originally a vinyl top?
It originally was a black vinyl top car.
Oh, and why didn't you want the top? Some people love it. Some people hate it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm an original guy now, right? Now if it had the top, I'd have it on there. But this being the one, I just wanted to delete that stripe you talked about. I wanted it to look clean. It looks more muscle car to me without the vinyl top on.
Fantastic. Yeah. And you're a guy that likes to drive your cars. We both like to drive cars. All the cars that you see in here that we'll detail at a later time, we drive everything. And you drive this thing like a bat out of hell. You know what I mean? I've
slowed way down now. So,
that's right.
Get older, you got to slow down. But we drive them. We have a lot of fun with them. And we want to share them. And that's the whole point of this, is being able to share them.
Absolutely.
We're going to lease them out for music videos or
photo shoots,
commercials or events, those types of things. Not really lease them out to drive. But we're willing to take people on drives and share the cars, to go to the car shows, the local stuff, and just, be good stewards to the community. So we're looking forward to that.
Well, right on, brother. Yeah. The 70 Roadrunner, dude.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
See you, brother.
See ya.